What happens when one of Britain's most respected actors is pushed too far on live television? In just 36 seconds, a simple question about his personal life spirals into one of the most uncomfortable moments in daytime TV history, ending with Bill Nighy walking off set while millions watch in stunned silence. Bill Nighy arrives on the Loose Women set that morning expecting a pleasant conversation about his latest film. He's done hundreds of interviews over his decades-long career. He knows how these things work. Light banter, a few questions about the movie, maybe a funny story or two, and everyone goes home happy. But today is going to be different. Very different. He settles into a seat on the bright purple sofa, smiling politely at the panel of hosts. The studio lights are warm. The audience is ready. Everything seems normal. Denise Welch sits directly across from him, and from the moment the cameras start rolling, there's an edge to her tone that Bill immediately picks up on. "Bill Nighy, everyone," Denise announces to applause. "Lovely to have you here. Now, before we talk about your film, I have to ask, and I think everyone's wondering this, why are you still single at your age?" The other panelists shift in their seats. It's an odd way to start an interview. Bill gives a diplomatic smile. "Well, that's quite a personal question to lead with, isn't it?" he says lightly, trying to laugh it off. "I'm here to talk about the film, actually." "Oh, come on," Denise presses, leaning forward. "You can't expect us not to be curious. You're how old now? 70-something? And never married. That's unusual, don't you think?" Bill's smile tightens slightly. "I was married, actually, quite a long time ago, but I don't really see how that's relevant to." "Right, but that ended, 30 years ago?" Denise interrupts. "So 3 decades of being alone, that must be difficult. Do you ever feel like you've missed out, like you've wasted your life?" The audience goes quiet. One of the other hosts, a blonde woman sitting next to Denise, touches her arm gently, as if to say, maybe ease up, but Denise doesn't notice or doesn't care. Bill sits up straighter. His voice remains calm, but there's a firmness to it now. "I don't think I've wasted my life at all. I've had a wonderful career, brilliant friends, and I'm perfectly content. I'm not sure why you're framing being single as some kind of tragedy." "I'm just saying what everyone's thinking," Denise responds with a shrug. "It's sad, really. A man your age, all alone. No wife, no children to take care of you. What happens when you get older and there's no one there?" Bill blinks slowly. "I'm already older, as you keep pointing out, and I'm doing just fine." "Are you, though?" Denise tilts her head in mock sympathy. "Because from where I'm sitting, it looks quite lonely. I mean, who do you go home to at night? An empty house?" Another panelist, a dark-haired woman, tries to jump in. "Maybe we should talk about the film now. Bill's got this wonderful new." But Denise talks right over her. "I'm just being honest. Someone needs to say it. You've built walls around yourself, Bill. That's what this is really about, isn't it? You're afraid of intimacy. You're afraid of letting anyone in." Bill's jaw tightens. "You don't know me. You don't know anything about my life or my choices." "I know what I see," Denise continues, her voice taking on a sharper tone. "A man who's chosen his career over real human connection. And now you're in the twilight years with nothing to show for it but some films that, let's be honest, most people won't even remember in 10 years. The audience gasps. The other hosts look mortified. One of them tries again. "Denise, that's really..." "What? I'm just saying what needs to be said." Denise snaps at her colleague before turning back to Bill. "You actors, you're all the same. You think you're so important, so special, but at the end of the day, you're just lonely people pretending to be other people because your own lives are too empty to face." Bill stares at her for a long moment. The studio is completely silent except for the low hum of the cameras. His face has gone from patient to stunned to something harder, something resolved. When he finally speaks, his voice is quiet, but every word cuts through the air like a blade. "I came here today as a courtesy, to talk about a project that a lot of talented people worked very hard on. I did not come here to be psychoanalyzed by someone who clearly has no idea what they're talking about. And I certainly didn't come here to be insulted on live television." "Oh, so now you're offended?" Denise laughs. Actually laughs. Typical. Can't handle a bit of honesty. This is what's wrong with celebrities today. You want everyone to kiss your feet and tell you how wonderful you are. Well, I'm not going to do that. "I'm not asking you to do that," Bill says, his voice rising slightly now. "I'm asking you to show a basic level of respect, something you seem incapable of." "Respect?" Denise leans back, crossing her arms. You want respect? You've done nothing but sit there with that superior attitude since you walked in here. Like you're too good for this show. Too good for us. I saw it the moment you sat down. Bill shakes his head in disbelief. That's completely untrue. I've been nothing but polite. Polite? Denise's voice gets louder. You've been condescending, looking down your nose at us, at me. You think because you've been in some posh films that you're better than people who work in daytime television? I have never once said or implied anything of the sort, Bill responds, his own voice rising to match hers now. You're putting words in my mouth to justify your own rudeness. One of the other panelists, clearly desperate to salvage the situation, tries to interject with a bright smile. Why don't we take a quick break? And no, Denise cuts her off. We're not taking a break. Bill here clearly has something he wants to say. Go on then, Bill. Tell us all how terrible I am. Tell us how you're the victim here. Bill stands up slowly. He carefully removes the small microphone clipped to his jacket. The action is so deliberate, so controlled, that it somehow makes it more powerful. I'm not going to engage in this anymore. This isn't an interview. This is an ambush, and I won't be part of it. Oh, here we go, Denise says, rolling her eyes dramatically. The big dramatic exit. Very Hollywood of you. Bill places the microphone on the arm of the sofa with surprising gentleness, given the tension crackling through the air. You know what the saddest part of all this is? He says, looking directly at Denise. I actually watch this show sometimes. I've seen you be thoughtful, funny, warm. I've seen you have genuinely interesting conversations with people. But today, for whatever reason, you've chosen to be cruel, and I genuinely don't understand why. Denise's expression flickers for just a moment, something like uncertainty crossing her face, but she recovers quickly. I'm not being cruel, I'm being real. There's a difference between being real and being unkind, Bill says. And if you can't see that difference, then I truly feel sorry for you. He turns to the other hosts. Ladies, thank you for trying to make this bearable. I appreciate your efforts. Then he looks out at the audience. And thank you all for being here. I'm sorry you had to witness this. As Bill starts to walk away, Denise calls after him. Running away? Are we? Can't handle a tough conversation? Bill stops, turns back. His face is calm, but his eyes are steely. A tough conversation requires two people engaging in good faith. What you've done today isn't tough. It's just nasty. There's a difference. You're oversensitive, Denise shoots back. This is exactly what I was talking about. You can't handle criticism. You live in this bubble where everyone tells you you're wonderful, and the moment someone challenges you, you fall apart. Challenging someone and attacking them are not the same thing, Bill says evenly. I've been challenged plenty of times in my life, by directors, by critics, by people who genuinely wanted to engage with my work. What you did today wasn't a challenge. It was a performance, and not a very good one. Denise stands up now too, her face flushing. How dare you come on my show and insult me? Your show? One of the other hosts mutters under her breath, looking uncomfortable. I'm not insulting you, Bill continues. I'm stating facts. From the moment I sat down, you made it clear you had no interest in having an actual conversation. You had an agenda. You wanted to provoke me, to get a reaction, to create a moment. Well, congratulations. You got your moment. I hope it was worth it. The producers are clearly panicking now. You can see people moving frantically in the background, unsure whether to cut to commercial or let this play out. You don't get to come here and lecture me, Denise says, her voice shaking slightly now, though whether from anger or something else is hard to tell. I've been doing this for years. I know how to conduct an interview. Then why didn't you? Bill asked simply. Why didn't you conduct an interview? Instead, you spent the entire time making personal attacks and assumptions about my life, my choices, my character. You didn't ask about the film. You didn't ask about my process. You didn't ask anything that would actually interest your viewers. You just wanted to tear someone down on live television. That's not what Denise starts, but Bill holds up a hand. Please, don't. We both know exactly what this was. He picks up his jacket from the back of the sofa. I'm leaving now. And before you say anything else, let me be clear about something. I'm not leaving because I'm weak or oversensitive or can't handle criticism. I'm leaving because I have enough self-respect not to sit here and be someone's punching bag for entertainment. You're being ridiculous, Denise says, but her voice has lost some of its earlier bite. It was just a conversation. No, Bill says firmly. It wasn't, and you know it wasn't. But here's what concerns me most. He pauses, choosing his words carefully. There are people watching this right now who are single, who are alone, who've made different choices in their lives. And you've just spent the last several minutes telling them that they're sad, that they're lonely, that they've wasted their lives. How do you think that makes them feel? Denise opens her mouth, but nothing comes out. The other hosts are staring at their laps. That's what really bothers me about all this, Bill continues. It's not just about me, it's about the message you're sending, that there's only one right way to live. That if you don't follow a certain path, get married, have children, live a certain kind of life, then you're somehow less than, that you've failed. And that's just not true. People are allowed to be happy in different ways. They're allowed to make different choices, and they certainly don't deserve to be shamed for it on national television. The silence that follows is deafening. Even Denise seems at a loss for words now. Bill puts on his jacket slowly, methodically. I hope, he says quietly, that when you watch this back, you'll think about what happened here today. Really think about it, not about defending yourself or justifying your behavior, but about whether this is the kind of television you actually want to make, whether this is the person you want to be. He gives a small nod to the cameras and the audience, and then he walks off the set. His footsteps echo in the silent studio. Everyone watches him go. No one tries to stop him. No one speaks. Denise stands frozen for a moment, her face a mixture of anger, embarrassment, and something that might be the first hint of regret. The other hosts are clearly unsure what to do. The audience sits in shocked silence. The cameras keep rolling, capturing every excruciating second. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, one of the producers calls for a commercial break. But the damage is done. The moment is captured. And everyone knows that what they just witnessed wasn't just a celebrity walking off a talk show. It was a man standing up for himself with dignity and grace in the face of someone who had none. As the show cuts to commercials, the other panelists turn to Denise. Their expressions say everything. One of them, the blonde woman, shakes her head slowly. That was too far, Denise. Way too far. But Denise just sits there, arms still crossed, jaw set in defiance, though her eyes tell a different story. They're not quite as certain as they were a few minutes ago, not quite as sure. In the green room backstage, Bill is already gathering his things. A production assistant approaches nervously, trying to apologize, to explain, to somehow make it right. But Bill just gives her a kind smile. It's not your fault, love. Not your fault at all. He leaves through the back exit, away from the cameras, away from the chaos. He's been in this industry long enough to know that moments like this will be talked about, analyzed, replayed. People will have opinions. They always do. But he also knows something else. He knows that he stood up for himself, that he didn't let someone treat him poorly just because they had a microphone and a platform. And that, at the end of the day, is all that really matters. Back in the studio, as the show returns from commercial, Denise tries to continue as if nothing happened. But her voice is different now, less confident. The other hosts are subdued. The energy has completely shifted. And everyone watching at home knows it too. What was supposed to be a simple promotional interview for a film turned into something much bigger. A moment that revealed character, both the dignity of a man who knew his worth and refused to be diminished, and the ugliness that can happen when someone mistakes cruelty for honesty, meanness for strength. The conversation that should have been about art, about craft, about the work of creating something meaningful, instead became about something much more fundamental, about respect, about decency, about how we treat each other, especially when the cameras are rolling and the whole world is watching. Bill Nighy didn't storm off that set in a fit of rage or temperamental dramatics. He left with quiet dignity because he recognized that some situations don't deserve your continued presence. That walking away isn't weakness, it's strength. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply refuse to participate in your own mistreatment. The footage spreads quickly. Within hours, people are talking about it. The consensus is almost universal. Bill handled himself with class and grace under pressure. He stood his ground without losing his composure. He made his point clearly and effectively. And most importantly, he reminded everyone watching that you don't have to accept poor treatment just because someone else thinks you should. For Denise, the reaction is very different. Questions are asked about professionalism, about the line between honest conversation and personal attack, about what hosts owe their guests. The backlash is swift and significant because people recognize what they saw. They saw someone trying to humiliate another person for entertainment. and they saw that person refuse to play along. The show itself faces scrutiny. How did this happen? Why did no one step in sooner? What kind of environment allows a host to feel comfortable launching such personal attacks on a guest? These are the questions being asked in living rooms and offices and online forums across the country. But perhaps the most important impact is on the viewers who Bill mentioned in his final words. The single people, the ones who've chosen different paths, the ones who've been made to feel less than because they don't fit a certain mold. They see someone defending their right to live differently. Someone saying, publicly and powerfully, that there's no one right way to be happy. And that message resonates far beyond the confines of a daytime talk show. Because in the end, that's what this moment really was about. Not just one actor walking off one show, but a larger statement about respect, about dignity, about refusing to let others define your worth or your choices. About standing up calmly and firmly for yourself, even when someone with a platform is trying to tear you down. Bill Nighy went on that show to talk about a film. He left having said something far more important. Not through anger or aggression, but through simple, quiet refusal to accept unacceptable behavior. And in doing so, he reminded everyone watching that grace under pressure isn't about never getting upset. It's about maintaining your dignity, even when others have lost theirs. The interview that never was became something much more significant. A teaching moment, a line in the sand. A reminder that entertainment should never come at the cost of someone's humanity. And that when someone crosses that line, you have every right to walk away. That's what happened in those 36 seconds and the minutes that followed. Not just a dramatic television moment, but a masterclass in self-respect, in knowing your worth, in understanding that some battles are won not by fighting, but by simply refusing to participate. Bill Nighy taught everyone watching that day about the power of walking away with your head held high, about the strength it takes to remain calm when someone is trying to provoke you, about the importance of standing up for yourself and for others who might be watching and feeling unseen. And Denise Welch learned, though perhaps too late, that there's a difference between being provocative and being cruel. That pushing boundaries is not the same as crossing lines, that the power that comes with a platform carries responsibility, and that sometimes the person you're trying to make look small ends up making you look smaller instead. This wasn't just about one interview gone wrong. It was about everything that interview represented. The way we talk to each other, the way we treat people who are different from us, the way we use or abuse the platforms we're given, and most importantly, the way we respond when we're treated poorly, with anger, with aggression, or with the kind of calm, clear dignity that Bill Nighy displayed that day. The choice, as he showed millions of viewers, is always ours. And sometimes the most powerful choice we can make is to simply stand up, say enough is enough, and walk away knowing that we kept our integrity intact even if the person across from us lost theirs.